guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades, and I'm here to get you started on Unit 14, More Long U Patterns. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your blue book open to page 89. You will also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key as well. All right, if at any point I'm moving too fast, please pause the video and catch up. So we are almost done with our discussion of long vowels. We know there are 5 long vowel sounds, and they each sound like a vowel name. So they are A, E, I, O, and U. We know that there are 3 common ways to make a long vowel. We can use a silent E, we can use a vowel team, or we can use an open syllable. This week we are focusing on long U. And in all of our words this week, we are going to make that long U sound by using either a silent E or a vowel team. All right, so let's get started. You'll notice I already broke our words into syllables. That red line represents the syllable break. All of our words this week are 2 or 3 syllables, except for the word view, which has 1 syllable. You'll notice that I also put a purple check mark above the stressed syllable. Remember, that is the syllable that we say a little bit louder and a little bit stronger. So if you want to pause the video right now to catch up and add your syllable breaks and stress marks, please go ahead and do that. All right, so let's begin. Please repeat after me. Approve, compute, confuse, dilute, disprove, interview, introduce. You know what? Introduce. I'm actually going to move it there. Introduce, right? Because that syllable's a little bit louder. Issue, minute, minute. Minute, minute. Spelled exactly the same, 2 totally different words with different pronunciations. We'll come back to that. Pollute, preview, review, salute, tissue, and view. Okay, what I want to do first is I want to look for those silent E syllables. And I want you to notice that in our first word, approve, we have a silent E that's actually making the O make a U sound. Strange, right? We don't see that very often at all in our language. We see it in the word prove, we see it in the word approve, and we see it in the word disprove. That's about it. Really is not a common pattern. So if you can memorize the word prove, you can do approve, disprove, you're good to go. So over here, green box equals O-consonant-E making a long U sound. Okay, now if we look at the word compute, this makes more sense. We have a silent E jumping over the T and telling the U, say your name, say your name. So that gives us compute. Same thing with confuse and dilute. Now we've talked about this before, right? Long U has 2 different pronunciations. Sometimes it says U in words like compute or confuse, and sometimes it says oo in words like dilute and introduce. deuce. There it is again. Minute. This word means tiny, right? Like if you want to see minute creatures, you're going to have to use a microscope, right? Or some people like to give you the minute details, the tiniest details. So that's minute. This word, minute, is a unit of time, right? 60 seconds makes up a minute. Notice in this pronunciation, that silent E isn't really doing anything. That whole syllable is turning into a schwa sound, min-ut, right? Because it's not stressed. So the U, the T, and the E are working together to make an ut sound. Okay, we have pollute. Again, silent E making the U long. Salute. Silent E making the U long. And I think that's it. So, over here, U-consonant-E makes a long U sound. Okay, now let's talk about vowel teams. You already know some common vowel teams like O-O in words like shoot or room. That's probably the most common long U vowel team. You've also seen UI in words like suit and fruit. Well, I have two new patterns to show you today. The first one is IEW. IEW work together to make the U sound. This is interview, view, okay? You see it there. You see it in preview, review, and view. So remember I said learn how to spell prove, and then you can spell approve and disprove. Well, learn how to spell view, and then interview, preview, and review will be a piece of cake. Okay, so over here, blue rectangle equals IEW vowel team, and that also makes a long U sound. Okay, another vowel team that you probably learned back in 1st or 2nd grade, if you were spelling a word like do, like my library books are do, or the word sue, you probably already saw or knew about the UE pattern. But here we have issue and tissue. And what's kind of weird about this is the SS is somehow turning into a sh sound. Issue, tissue. It seems like there should be an SH in there, but there's not. So that's a little funky, but we have the UE vowel team. UE vowel team making a long U sound. All right, so those are our patterns for this week, but I want to take a second to talk about prefixes. We have lots of prefixes this week. We have the prefix dis, which means not, like if someone's dishonest, they're not honest. If you disprove a theory, you are proving that it's not true, right? So many years ago, people used to joke that the moon was made out of cheese. Well, NASA sent astronauts to the moon. They walked on the moon, they brought back samples, and they disproved this crazy idea that the moon is made out of cheese. They proved that it's not true. Inter means between, right? Like an intergalactic space mission means you are traveling between galaxies. If you're working on your interpersonal skills, it means you're working on your ability to communicate with other people. If you interview someone, it's just you and the other person. It's a conversation between two people where I'm getting a view or a look at what's in the other person's brain or heart, right? So an interview is between two people. We also have the prefix pre, which means before, right? So before you go to the movies, you watch some previews, just little trailers to decide like, does this movie look interesting? So pre means before. Re, I'm gonna write before here. Re can mean back. So if you review something, you go back and look at it again, right? So let's say you have a science test and you took a bunch of notes. Well, before the test, you want to go back and review your notes. Go back and look at them one more time, okay? So over here, brown box equals prefix. So I showed you some examples. There are definitely other prefixes in our list, but we're not going to worry about them today. But when you get to page 92, there are two prefixes in particular that you're going to work on, and they are opposites. They are re and pro. So pro means forward. Re can mean back. So if you progress or you make progress, it means you're moving forward, right? If you regress, it means you're moving backwards. So if you think about a 2-year-old, right? They're making lots of progress. They're learning how to talk. They're almost ready to get potty trained. They're ready to sleep in a bed instead of a crib. They are progressing through the stages. But then let's say a new baby is born. Sometimes what happens is the older kid regresses, which means instead of moving forward, they move back. Suddenly they're doing baby talk again. They're wetting the bed again. They're showing behaviors that are more typical of a younger child instead of an older child. So to progress is to move forward, to regress is to go back. There are lots of examples like that. Think about propel, like a propeller on a helicopter. It moves you forward. So if you are propelled, you're moved forward. If you are repelled, you're moved backwards, right? Think about like insect repellent, right? You spray yourself and suddenly the bugs move back. They're like, oh, I'm not going near her. So when you get to page 92, you're going to see more examples of words that start with pro and re, okay? All right, let's quickly make sure we know what all of our words mean. So if you approve something, you okay it. You say, yep, that's fine. That works. To compute means to do math. Right? If you compute, you're doing math. You're adding, you're subtracting, you're multiplying. To confuse is to make someone not understand, right? So you're talking to them, you're telling them a story, but it doesn't make any sense. Now they are confused. You have confused them. To dilute something means to water it down. So maybe you make lemonade, but it's too sweet or it's too sour. If you put more water in it, that will dilute it. It'll make it less strong. To disprove, we talked about. An interview, we talked about. To introduce yourself is to say, hi, my name is. To introduce someone to a new topic means to teach them about it for the first time. So introduce, I'm just going to say kind of to meet for the first time. Whether you're introducing a topic, a new place, whatever. Issue could be a problem, like, oh, we're having an issue again. It could also be, if you're talking about magazines or newspapers, you could say, oh, did you see the latest issue of Sports Illustrated? Did you see the latest issue of Ranger Rick magazine? Minute, I said, means tiny. Minute means 60 seconds. To pollute means to make something dirty. So if factories dump their chemicals into the river, they're polluting the river, and then the fish die and the plants die, and so that's not a good thing. To preview means to look before, take a quick peek. To review means to go back and look after. To salute means to, it's a way to show respect to other officers in the army or the police force. Tissue could be something you use to blow your nose. Could also be tissue paper that you put in when you're wrapping a gift. Maybe you put tissue paper in the bag or the box. So for tissue, I'm just going to write thin paper, right? It's thin. It's something that you throw away right after you use it. So obviously you're not going to save a tissue after you blow your nose. You're probably not going to save tissue paper after you open a gift either. So it's thin, cheap paper. And then to view something just means to look at it, or if we're talking about a view, like, oh my gosh, this hotel has a beautiful view of the ocean, it just means that what you get to see is really nice. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.